But we appreciate you coming out on this beautiful fall morning here in Michigan to hear about something that's very important here in our state and something we expect the legislature and the governor and the powers that be in Lansing to be taking on coming up, which was the personal property tax. I'm joined today by a number of different individuals from organizations throughout the state that represent a whole group of interests that quite frankly make this state a great place to live and a great place to work. And a great place to come to if you're from somewhere else. So we've got to make sure that we've got resources and the abilities to continue to do that, to even move the needle in the 21st century to make Michigan even a more economically vibrant place than it's been. We've all been struggling. We need to move forward, and I think you're going to hear from a whole bunch of different people in terms of how we might be able to do that and why this particular issue is so important. Scrapping the personal property tax without guaranteeing replacement funds for services and for schools would harm public school students, counties, libraries, and police and fire protection across the state. We can't create the types of communities where people want to live, work, and play, and create a prosperous future, as I talked about, for the state if Lansing continues to raid funds that local citizens expect to fund essential local services. We need the replacement funds to be a stable source that goes to local services and schools only, not to Lansing. So as we move forward, the personal property tax, which is a tax on all business machinery and equipment, including desks and computers, is paid only by Michigan businesses and not by households or individual taxpayers. And all PPT revenues go to the Michigan local governments and public schools to pay for local police and fire protection, drinking water systems, roads and bridges, parks and libraries, classroom instruction, and other essential local services that you're going to hear outlined by the number of speakers here today. The PPT is now one of the most stable sources of funding for local governments, for school districts, for others like libraries and whatnot that rely upon it, and it makes up more than 50% of the taxable value in some Michigan communities around the state. So as we see, many communities are relying almost entirely on this for funding of essential services. The PPT makes up about 11% of taxable value in an average Michigan community. So obviously this is a very important issue. We're concerned with the rhetoric we hear in the state legislature about doing away with the personal property tax, and we think it's very important as a group up here that if that happens, that we go out and we guarantee replacement, because we can't be coming to Lansing and having funds being raided as we move forward. So I'm going to step aside now and talk and introduce a few people who are going to speak. They're all to my left. I'll introduce them all up front and ask them to introduce themselves again when they begin to speak, so as to keep this rolling as fast as we can. First, you're going to hear from Mayor Richard Noddy, who's the mayor of the city of Sterling Heights in Macomb County. You're then going to hear from Alpena County Commissioner Tom Mullaney, who's the president of the Michigan Association of Counties. Dave Weisenberg is with the Michigan Professional Firefighters Union. Howell Police Chief George Baser is here. He's the past president of the Michigan Association of Chiefs of Police. Ingham County Intermediate School Board Superintendent Stan Kogut is here to speak from the perspective of the school superintendents. And Christine Barrow, who's the director of the Portage District Library and the past president of the Michigan Library Association, will wrap up the comments talking about how this is such an important particular item for the libraries, the public libraries in the state.